Hey guys! Welcome back to our channel,
Plots with a Twist,
where we discuss books,
amongst other things.
Yeah, I got on my professional drip for y'all today.
Not professional.
You know, green has been my color for the last few videos, huh? All right, well, we are back today with another video. So kind of thinking through like just some content. We was like, oh, we just did a review on Black Book, and that was a book that had a promising beginning but a horrible end. So we just had some conversation about what other books gave us that vibe. So that's what we're talking about today. Books that had a good, maybe strong, promising, something about the beginning engaged you, but somewhere along the way it lost its path and ended up ending in not a great way. So
yes,
let's get into it. All right, I feel like I have some controversial picks. So keep in mind, for these types of videos, this is our opinion. People may enjoy some of these books or maybe enjoy some of these endings. But we just want to throw that out there. These are our opinions. Hey, sometimes they're harsh, sometimes they're fun. You know?
And I will say for all my picks, all the books on here, I enjoyed the books. It was the endings that I was like, I needed more. So I won't say they're horrible. Some like you might be horrible.
I just thought of one.
For the most part, it's just like, okay, I didn't really the ending. I would have wanted something else. So yes.
I just thought of one. I'm gonna put it as an honorable mention. Don't be looking at my list. Okay, so yeah, we haven't done, I think we did another video, I'll try to link it below, where we talked about slow beginnings and good endings. So yeah, now we're doing the reverse. So I will start, no particular order. This is probably, let's get the most controversial one out the way, and this is for me, and that is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison.
I haven't even read that book,
so you can't even talk about it. So of course it's a acclaimed book. It was her first book. So yes, we all know and love Toni Morrison and respect and honor her career. But The Bluest Eye was my first experience with her writing. I thought it was best to start with her first book, and not to say that put me off from her. I definitely enjoyed the writing within the book, but overall, so the story started as just I don't know how you describe it, little I don't want to say short stories. What do you call it? Like little peaks, little vignettes? What do you call that? It started like little stories that surround this young girl, Pecola, I believe that was her name, and pretty much just how people treated her and how those people were treated in their lives and how that impact her upbringing and how she kind of viewed herself and kind of what she received from other people. So that's pretty much what you got in the beginning. So it kind of gave you like, oh, this is like this telling of this young girl's life, but through the eyes of other people. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, especially in the beginning, you know, getting the introduction to things. But as the story progressed and you got to what the actual overall controversy surrounding Pecola was, that was a book I was, if y'all saw our own review on that, I was like, because it does get to a point where something major happens to Pecola, and I feel like maybe it's in the synopsis, so I can't remember, so I don't want to say it, but something happens to her. She's pregnant, but she's pregnant by a specific person. I think that's in the synopsis. And when it gets to that scene is at the end of the book versus the beginning. I was done. I was done. I said, ew, Toni, why would you do this to me? Ew. So that for me just ruined the whole experience of the book because I just couldn't stomach. It wasn't overly vivid, but just, yeah, the ending just kind of like, so yeah, that was that one.
Okay, so first one for me, I put, well, like I said, no particular order. I put My Sister's Serial Killer by, I forget the author's name. Wow.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so that's right here. Oyinkan Braithwaite. So, I think we've done either a review or we've definitely talked about the book. I don't think we've done a review. Well, we definitely talked about the book here on the channel. And liked the book overall, and the progression of the story was great. But I feel like the ending, I just did not care for how it ended and the consequences for the actual sister. I didn't like, from what I can remember, because we read this book a while ago, probably like 2 or 3 years ago. And yeah, like I said before, like it's not that it was horrible, but I just felt underwhelmed by the ending. And I don't know, I just wanted more. I think I wanted more punishment for the sister, not to give anything away. So yeah, that's first on my list. What does she got?
Okay, so next on my list was a very actually recent book. We haven't talked about it yet. It's a book I'm going to discuss in our wrap up for the month. So sneak peek. And that's Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. So I really got into my thriller bag for the month. I really wanted to read more suspense thriller books. That's just what we naturally gravitate towards. So naturally, a lot of those ended up on my list. And so Reckless Girls, Rachel Hawkins was an author I really wanted to read just because I had seen her books floating around. And yeah, I think that was her most recent. So just to kind of wrap it up without giving anything away, I will discuss the book further when we have our wrap up. But it just started as kind of like this intriguing tale of this girl wrapped up in this relationship, and she goes to this island with her boyfriend and these two random girls, and they just meet this couple there, and they're having the time of their lives. And so some drama is going to unfold, and as it unfolds, it just didn't. As it unfolds, you kind of was like, oh, okay, cool, whoa, but by the time it got to the end, in the way that it ended, it was like, what? What was this? Like, it just, nothing really made sense. I thought it was going to be something like, oh, these reckless girls and their decisions. But yeah, it really didn't end like that for me. The ending didn't make sense, so it just kind of ruined the overall experience of the book. So I will say it did start off really, really kind of captivating, really giving you that suspense that you really wanted. Well, that's debatable. But I'll give some further thoughts later without giving too much away, like I said. But yeah, it started off good. It just didn't end
in the best way. Gotcha. Okay.
Well, the epilogue was.
I feel like the epilogue is the ending, for real.
Still not.
Still wasn't getting. Okay, so next on my list, I have Meet the Brennans, but it's actually called We Are the Brennans by TRACEY.
Oh, and I didn't even correct you. I'm like, yeah.
By TRACEY Lange, and that's something that we discussed here before too, right? Pretty recently this year. And if you remember, it's about this family. I think a family of siblings of 5 kids. Anyway, the Brennan family, basically the oldest sister, it starts off with the oldest sister's son. What's her name? Sunday? Is Sunday? She gets into a car accident, and then her brother goes up to California, bring her back home to New York, where she basically left to kind of escape her family, so to speak. And her brother is dealing with his business kind of going under, his bar business, trying to get his bar business, the Brennan family bar, like up into, back functioning and making money. And he runs his business with her ex-boyfriend. So it's just like all this stuff that she was trying to get away from, and she comes back home, and then they just go ahead and the story goes from there, basically all the Brennan family secrets and them overcoming certain things. And I enjoyed the book. I felt like the beginning was good and the ending wasn't horrible. But what I will say about the ending is, like, throughout the story, you kind of feel like, they're this, even though they're not, like, they're a close-knit family that cares about each other, that obviously has some, like, some secrets in the closet or whatever, but it kind of gives you the impression that they, they're there for each other and they're going to figure things out. But throughout the book, you kind of get resolutions to all their problems for the most part. And then at the end, there's this one particular thing that's kind of like a major, like, thing without spoiling anything. Somebody ends up dead, right? Yeah, somebody ends up dead, and then it's kind of like, it kind of just ends when they actually figure out, like, who is responsible. It kind of just ends in the sense of, like, okay, like, we're going to figure this out because we're a family and whatever.
And it's together.
Yeah, and we're gonna stick together. And it's just like, huh? Like, how y'all gonna get out of this one?
Right.
And, so I felt like that, not even unrealistic. It kind of just like,
I want more.
It wanted more. You wanted more closure and kind of wanted to see like what was gonna happen, because that was like a major thing, and it kind of didn't like solve that problem. And I'm a person that I like things to be, which is not, not how life goes, but I don't read books for real life. I read books so that I can get my fairy tale endings and just have everything closed and resolute, and that's it. So, and I feel like We Are the Brennans, like, it kind of like, it was a strong story, it's a good story, but the ending was kind of like, no, like what's gonna happen? Like, what I need to know, like what's where y'all going with this? So that's what I didn't like about the book. But overall, it was still a great book, but just didn't like that part of it. So yeah.
All right. So the next book I have was one I hated the end. I hated the end. And that was Darling Rose Gold by Stephanie WROBEL.
I remember you saying that.
Yes. So I read that some time ago, and just kind of to wrap this one up, it just was supposed to be, as far as the synopsis, this redemption story of this girl whose mother pretty much had munchism by proxy. So she was making the girl sick her whole life and got released.
That's like that one story on Hulu.
Sharp Objects?
No, on Hulu, like the
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
What's the one with the girl
called,
with Arquette? Patricia Arquette. I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah.
But that's what I was thinking it was going to be, something like that, where the mother gets released and now they have this, whatever. Well, in that one, of course, the mother didn't get released. I think the girl gets accused of murdering, hiring her boyfriend to murder her.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. That's not what we're here about.
Right.
I thought it was going to be just something redeeming about the book in regards to just that type of situation. Mm-hmm. And when you realize what was actually going on and the end of the book and everything, it was like, what? Mm-hmm. Why would you do that? Like, it was one of those where you feel like the main character is doing stuff to get her just desserts. It's an unreliable narrator. So even but from both perspectives, because I think it switched between the mom and the daughter, it was unreliable narrative. So you really didn't know what to believe as the story progressed. But then once you actually figured out what was actually happening, what the daughter was working up to, what the mother was working up to or not working up to, it just seemed like turned from a redemption story to just like this weird situation without me saying the word that I feel like would give the story away. So yeah, it's just the ending was just, it just didn't feel justified. It just didn't feel justified. And so when you go through that journey, it's like I don't think you was supposed to feel the way you felt, and that's what made it off-putting and a bad ending for me. So that's Darling Rose Gold. The cover was pretty, and that's what made me read the book. Yeah,
that's what got you. Okay, so next on my list, I'm trying to find the author because I can't remember. Oh, I think I do remember. I was going to talk about American Spy by Lauren Wilkinson. So is she due for another book? Like, where's she at?
Right. Y'all ran her off.
I know. But I enjoyed the book. I think we both had the same sentiments as far as like, it started off good. There were a lot of moments where it's just like peaks, and then it would just like kind of like, and then it would kind of like, and then be like, so it's just like, I don't know. It's just one of those books that, I think the story, like there were a lot of things in the story that she could have left out, and it kind of would have progressed the story a little faster, but it kind of just slowed down. And basically, if y'all don't remember, American Spy was about was she a CIA agent who had twin boys, and she had to
FBI. She was approached by the CIA.
Yeah, she FBI agent. She like left her twin boys to go live with, I think, her parents or something. And she was like, and the whole story is her writing a letter explaining to them what happened and like her journey. And I don't even remember. I don't remember it because this was like 3 years ago. I don't even remember like exactly what happened at the end, but I remember being terribly underwhelmed and feeling like okay, what like.
It was just not resolved. Nothing was resolved.
Nothing was resolved. As far as her stint in like the FBI and where she was and what was gonna happen, like I feel like that book deserves like a sequel or something because it just was so much that was left unresolved. Like you said, that I just felt like, and it was such a good book, like promising in the beginning. But throughout the story, I found it hard to finish the book, and I really wanted to finish because I felt like it was a good story, and I love like a good, CIA detective, FBI book, but it just didn't give what I thought it was gonna give throughout the whole thing. It was very inconsistent as far as the pacing of the story. So yeah, that was but it was still like a good book. Like Laura, what's her name? Lauren. Girl, I want to read some more. Like, what's happening? Like, I want to see what else happened. So yeah, that was one on my list.
Okay. So another book that on my list, one I finished last year was Within These Wicked Walls by Lauren Blackwood. So this was like a Jane Eyre retelling or reimagining of this girl who was gifted and getting away. Was she? I forgot what they call them, but basically she was an exorcist, and she would help do little things to help, kind of get rid of spirits and ghosts and whatnot. So there was this spirit or something, this dark entity plaguing this home, and when she went to stay there to help get it out, and there ensues a love story. So that's pretty much it. So the reason why I put this on this list, because really it did have a really good promising beginning. You really were interested in just how this girl really kind of came to be as far as an exorcist, and then ultimately she had a compelling backstory. She was raised by her trainer, all this stuff that you're presented in the beginning. Where I think it started to go wrong for me was just the progression of the love story and how it was really fleshed out throughout the story. It just wasn't quite believable. I don't know. It was just something about it that's where it really began. And then where it ended, it just left me underwhelmed overall. But overall, I will say out of everything on my list, I did probably enjoy this particular book the most. But yeah, it was just one of those books that you kind of read and you're like, it's over, and it's like, it didn't leave me with anything that really drew me into the story and really attached me to just really be invested in really celebrating the book. It just really was an underwhelming ending overall. So
I feel like that's the thing. Like, we were just underwhelmed with a lot of these endings. But okay, so next on my list is going to be Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. So, love the book in general. If you guys remember, it's about a young woman who she goes to like babysit for a family. For a young black woman goes to babysit for like this white family, and she ends up being a nanny and becoming really attached to their daughter, but then has like these moments of, what do you call it, Kristen? Because I don't forgot this book.
She gets pulled into a controversy.
Oh yeah, a controversy with the.
She gets accused of kidnapping the daughter.
So yeah, so that story. But I feel like I remember enjoying the book, but with the ending, when it comes to her separating from the family and just having her own life and kind of going on to live her own life after the controversy with how do you say controversy? Controversy with the family and the little scandal that all happens. You kind of don't like. There's no. I feel like a lot of time in stories, there's, they go off to do something and they kind of have like this moment of reflection, and there wasn't really. She did reflect a little, but it was very underwhelming. Again, how like it ended as far as like where she went on with her life after leaving the family, and it's kind of like. I don't know. I felt like if I knew her in real life, I feel like it would just seem like, oh, she was sad that she like left the family and that was it. Like that's where her life revolved around. And it's like, no, like, girl, you're young and have a whole everything like a lot of stuff to look forward to, and that wasn't really addressed in the book. It was kind of just like, like this is like
life
now,
goes on.
life goes on. This is life. I'm doing this. This is like, ew, like girl, get a life, like get a real life, like outside of them. Like it was just like, I don't know. But I did enjoy the book. I just felt like the ending was like it could have been better, and I wanted more for the character at the end. Yeah, more than what she wanted for herself. Because I feel like even throughout the whole book, I just remember feeling like, girl, like you could do this and that. Like she just like didn't want to get out her own way, or just was comfortable like just with the bare minimum kind of. So yeah, that's one that
it's like for her to go through all that.
Yeah, she went through all that just to be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go work for this little company, and it's like, girl, no, like what else is there? So yeah, but I like the book though. Don't come for me, y'all, because I know that's a popular book. I like the book. It's just the ending didn't do it for me.
All right, well, the last book I will mention is one I've kind of talked about before in regards to just not really enjoying the experience. But I will say this did have a promising beginning and just didn't deliver at the end. And that's 9 Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty. So if you haven't read it or seen the Netflix show.
The show's good.
I don't know. But just to say as far as the book, I do like Liane Moriarty's writing. She's like one of my guilty pleasure writers. So she really does a good job of kind of giving you different viewpoints and perspectives of different characters, really kind of breaking down their trials and tribulations, so you can kind of definitely understand their psyche and who they become and why their decisions are their decisions, even though a lot of things that surround the characters she discusses is really like salacious. Oh, what's another word? Nefarious. Oh,
I don't know what that means. I gotta look it up.
I don't even know if I use that right. But anyway, but yeah, it's just like for 9 Perfect Strangers, I liked where the book was starting very much. I like the idea of these 9 people coming together at this resort and being promised, overpromised this experience that's transformative, life-changing, whatnot, but then ultimately just the things and practices as they're at the resort is kind of like, this is not what we signed up for. So I didn't even mind that part of it, but the end was kind of like you said, where it's really like, this is it, this is what happens, like these characters went through this and this is the outcome. And that was the case with every single person. Like, I guess one couple, I guess some people did have a better overall transformative experience. Like maybe the one person, the one character you were the most invested in. I can't remember her name, but the author girl in the book. Yeah. I was the most invested in her in the book. So I was satisfied with her overall progression and ending. But I just think the overall ending of a story was just like, it didn't make sense to me as to just the evolution of where she started with the characters in regards to what they went through and then where they all ended up, and ultimately just how the overall plot ended. It's like, this ain't realistic. What? Okay, so yeah.
Okay, so
we trying to be vague, y'all, without
spoiling the endings, just in case you guys want to go ahead and read these books. But because they, like, for me, for the most part, they weren't like bad, horrible books. It's just whatever. But okay, last one for me is The Immortalist by Chloe Benjamin. Now, and I didn't see any reviews. I've seen reviews where like people have expressed the same sentiment. But basically, The Immortalist is about, I want to say 4 or 5 siblings who four siblings who grow up in New York, and it starts off with them going to see this like fortune teller type woman who basically tells them when they're gonna die, right? Like she predicts their death and tells them, and this is like when they're little, like probably like 5, 6, 7, well not 5, but like I think one of them is, you know, there's a younger one, and then like to 11, 10, whatever, and then so it goes, each part of the story goes from one character, one sibling to the next, and just explains, like, goes through their life and when they eventually meet their demise. And I think that one of the reviews that I read said that, you know, the beginning dragged and the ending wasn't what you would have wanted, but the middle was good. And I think that's a fair like assessment of the book, because the beginning did drag. I remember like being like, oh, Like, what? Come on, like, some of the characters were more interesting than others, some of the sibling stories. And then towards the end, you're kind of like... So you kind of get the sense, like, yes, they're going to die because their death is predicted or whatever. But it doesn't tell you, like, when they're going to, like, die. You have to, like, read each of their stories to see, like, what happens to them. And I think the ending, I just didn't care for because it's, I don't know, especially I feel like it ended on the brother who no,
ended on the sister.
Which sister?
I think she was the oldest.
I just remember the brother and then the gun and then like,
oh no, it ended on the sister who was like didn't do nothing with her life.
Didn't like the ending. Didn't care for the ending. I wanted more. I feel like the stories, like, of the characters' lives were, it promised a lot, and then when you got to the ending, it was kind of like, it wasn't doing it for me. So yeah. And I was really excited to read that book. I don't know why. I don't know why. Why were we so excited? Was it hyped up or something? I don't remember. But it was just a disappointing ending. That's what I do remember. Yeah. And yeah, it just didn't give what it was supposed to give. I will say that. Like,
you know what would have made that story kind of more interesting?
What?
Maybe if it was told backwards.
And from like their
maybe, or if it would have been told. And like I said, I think when we've mentioned it before, like if they told their story together, she broke it up
instead of breaking it down into each separate sibling is what kind of like made it drag for one, and then like.
But I think if she told it backwards and you're like, why is this significant? And you get to the end and realize they went to a fortune teller, it's like it would have been like, ooh,
right. Instead of.
But now you got this beginning, and then you're like,
what's gonna happen? And then when it does happen, you're like, that's it, like. So yeah, that was the last book on my list, and check it out if you want to. But I was underwhelmed. Kristen was underwhelmed. A lot of people were underwhelmed.
Alright. So hopefully this video makes sense. We definitely probably have a lot of books that we've mentioned before that we definitely enjoy a lot of aspects of it, and then we get to the end and it's like, I just didn't care for the end. I just
didn't like the ending.
So hopefully you understand what we mean with some of these books. And if you have any books that you yourself have felt like, oh, I started and it was great and I got to the end, I'm like, why? Let us know. Let us know some of those books. Like this video, subscribe, ring the bell. We bet next time. Bye.
Bye.